Welcome back, you hoes, you scallywags, you marks, tricks, you skanks,
hooligans, ruffians.
hooligans. Welcome back to this amazing podcast with these fellow experts, degenerates, and population control enthusiasts that we are. We're continuing the Six Wings episode, or the Wing series with six. You know, we've had some difficulty getting ourselves to do this episode because we love sixes so much, and we're just overflowing with enthusiasm for this type that everyone likes so much. So we're going to come with positivity and compliments about this type, about why this is the best, worst type in the Enneagram, and we're going to do our best to withhold our dimensions of disgust
and destruction,
Dimensions of
dimensions,
disgust. Wow.
depths of repulsion,
fantasies
about this type, you know, to give you and to deliver what the people want, which is some good insights and comedy and insults, because you need that.
God.
Sixes are calling out.
We are talking
for
about six.
attack, so insults it will be.
Who are we to
Yeah,
deny
give
them
them
what they
some
truly
reaction
want,
food.
which is abuse,
Yeah.
right, Alexandra?
Wouldn't go that far, but you know,
I would.
I'm partially with you.
Yeah, abuse is one of those words you're not supposed to use. Is that right?
Well, the sixes wouldn't admit to it. That's the problem. They wouldn't
they just
admit
like
to
reactivity. They just like to react. They just like react.
Yeah,
As a reactive type here on the podcast himself, you should understand that a little bit too.
I do understand it, but here's the thing. Difference is I know how to block.
That's fair. That's very fair.
You're not doing
Yeah,
attachment
yeah.
to disconnect.
I'm not doing attachment to disconnect. I'll put up a wall, but I will enjoy the reactions from behind the
Reactive
wall.
rejection.
Yeah.
I know that we talk about sixes a lot, and that, well, I know that how do I say it? I know that there are a lot of attachment types already, and so you guys kind of have a thing where you're like, everything that can be said about sixes has been said already. And I just don't
Yes.
think that's true, actually.
Yeah, okay.
I think it could be fleshed out more. I think the wings can be fleshed out more, and that's what we're gonna do. Also, you
guess-
guys are coming at the six fix from 5 and 7, and so
There's
what do you guys know
immense.
to begin with?
Yeah, it's immense sort of, you know, repulsion and hatred that we have for this type, just for obvious reasons. And I feel like we've done enough over the years. We've given enough, but you know, you've brought us back. Just when you thought you've come out of the game, they always pull you right back.
we never did the six wings.
We
never did them. We've talked about six at length, but most of the conversation around six has been in the way that they're not 5. This is my bias, in the way that they're not 5 and 7. So talking about six itself and then articulating the difference between 6 being 7, the buoyancy, the friendliness, the, you know, Timothy Chalamet of it all.
Oh, she
Against-
said Timothy Chalamet.
Is that his name? That's his
Yeah,
name,
that's his
right?
name, but
Yeah.
it's just like he's
Six
such
and
an
7.
annoying 6 anyway. But yeah,
6
no,
and
yeah, you're
7.
right. 6, they deserve
Versus
their
6
day.
and 5, which is, you know, quite
then-
grumpy, quite different.
7's going to be the last one, right? That's the dessert. Is the last
7 will be the last one of the entire series. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're gonna move to 8 right after 6. We're gonna do
Before
7
we get
dead
into
last.
before we get into some basics, like we can get into like, you know, 6 being an attachment to Hensetter. Let's talk about some interesting symbolic
Oh, yes.
connections to be made about the number 6.
Yes.
Okay.
Because think about it. So, you know, we don't want to gas 7s up because they don't need that.
Yeah,
But
they don't.
No,
in
they really don't need that.
symbolism, 7 is the perfect number. It's the number of completion. And people ask, like, why is 666 the number of, you know, of the beast? But it's like, one way to look at it is like it's just one off of perfection. It's like you've fallen short. And that's
wow.
sort of a good metaphor for the 6 thing of like trying, but you never quite get perfect and you're never good enough. And then David's got some other stuff, but the beasts, the number of the beasts.
So one of the things in my overlaps of the instincts and the stackings onto the Enneagram symbol is I put self-pres on 6, and self-pres is the earth element, and so it represents, you know, matter, objects, reality, what you can see with feel, hear, taste, with your senses. So, and that's kind of, a sixth thing is they have to see it to believe it, right? It's that there's that thing, and they need proof, and it needs to be tangible, and it's things. It's, you know what I mean? It's so on. And so the other thing too around self-present six is that the carbon is the common atom elements of all, matter and plants, rocks, bodies, animals, and so forth. And carbon has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. So it's 666. And there's, it correlates into kind of that religious symbolism, because it's, self-pres is the body. It's the senses. It's and you could say being attached to the physical world and
the beasts
and the beasts and the bestial self, and the that state of having some degree of being on some kind of alert around survival, right? Kind of like an animal. So that's it's interesting.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's
and guess
cool.
what, guys? We are recording this on the 3rd day of the 6th month in the year of 9. 225.
Oh, wow.
Look at that, 369.
Look at that. It's me. It's always about me.
So all these delays actually
That's cool.
were symbolic.
There we go.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, how many times have we delayed this episode? Like
At
5
least 4.
times or something? Okay, 4 times.
But that is not a statement about
Sorry,
our
sixes.
feelings for type 6.
It's like a labyrinth sometimes, to get into 6, because everything is on the opposite. There's contradictions, and you end up feeling just as lost as 6s feel.
Right.
when
Well,
you
it's
get
also
into
just
6.
like it requires a lot of thorough attention, and that is like
Yes.
the domain of 6 is to be just like so thorough, right? Somebody made a comment about like here comes the cat. Someone made a comment around how they need the work to be shown, and that is like the domain of 6. And even just being like even the metaphor of being like just one number short of perfection, that does speak to a certain effort and a certain like checking for the cracks and making sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and all of that stuff. There's a thorough there's just a thoroughness to 6 that
it's also
only belongs
that
to 6.
one number short thing makes 6, 2 3s always opposing each other, and so it represents the split will, right? And not, there's yes but, and there's that kind of, there's this idea over here, but then there's this, and which way do I go, and do I follow what I'm sensing, intuiting, or what the other person is saying, or
Yeah, it also makes you think of how 6s think of the worst case scenario, and like the ultimate worst case scenario being the apocalypse, end of the world, and 666 signifying like a really evil thing.
Doomsday.
Doomsday, yeah.
Yeah.
What were you
There's
gonna say?
the split between subjectivity and objectivity also. Like there's a certain lack of trust in their own subjectivity. They're trying to cross it with what is real and objective on the outside, which is why they're always looking externally, right? Whereas like 5 and 7 don't have that as like a hindrance. They're just like trusting their subjective, I don't know, we'll say starting place, and then building off of that to prove something or to like make something make sense to them. Whereas 6, whereas 6, it doesn't start with that self-trust. It will follow its subjectivity, but it needs the external, the objective, like reinforcement
Framework.
kind of consistently with it. Yeah.
Yeah. When I think about the attachment in the head center and attachment to disconnect, you think about how six is decoupled from the head center. And so similar to the other superego types, there's a way that they're detached from the head. And so trying to create a framework, but doing it from a place of, I need to get everyone into my head center. I need our head centers to be intertwined and connected.
That's right.
And so, sixes end up doing things like just creating and instigating reactions from people by even just starting like, I'm just going to jump to a conclusion and try to get people to help me figure out what's true.
And that'll reveal what the other person is actually thinking. And there's that whole thing of provoking to find out, because sixes are not trusting their own opinion about where a person's at mentally or whatever.
Yeah, or even trusting that, being direct is, there's a way that I want to get your genuine reaction. If I can get you involved in some kind of argument or confrontation in the mental center, I'm going to find out what you really think. And even they're doing that within themselves. It's like, I'm going to go so far into this one idea and see what happens when I go there, and then go the opposite. Because sixes are never, or six fixers never sure really if like I'm figuring it out as I'm going along, and I'm contradicting myself as I'm going along.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, even that speaks more to that objectivity thing that they're trying to look for. There's to use Josh's framework, to use his like theory, developmental theory. It's like the map. They're trying to to find the entire map, but they're not creating it themselves. They're trying to like find all the pre-existing pieces and put them all together. So it is really important that they're getting all the pieces out of the sources that they're trying to extract information from.
So
they're also not trusting subjective takes from other people, which is where the reactivity comes from. It's part of like, let me provoke something so that I can get the complete picture, because that's the map that I can choose and trust and operate from.
Then that it's another ping on the overlaps thing with self-pres. So like with all three attachment types, sort of you could say the problem is, what the overlaps are revealing about the types is, in the attachment types, is a specific problem around, you could say, not having that second instinct to anchor off of or pivot from or whatever. So, and you just use the word map, and it's self-pres earth, right? It's like sixes are looking for the grid that is the universal grid that covers the globe, and that they can hold on to if they need to or whatever. And like self-pres social represents some kind of it's the two self-pres stackings represent all kinds of different things relative to six. One would be like self-pres social, in a way, is going to the authority, because it's got social, right? So a social role. And self-pres sexual represents kind of trusting your own attunement to, your own hunch around the map, or and well, in the extreme, and this is five-ish, it's you don't even care whether it's the truth, in a way, right? It's just you're following your own chemistry almost, and it's obscure and hyper individualistic and so forth. So that would be, there's a way that really both of those, in a way, would be positive integrations for the six in a certain way, because they're, well, the going for the authority, they're looking for the book that is the truth of all truth. But then when they're getting involved in one of those, then they're questioning themselves, and they're not really sort of fully in it, because they're questioning themselves, they're questioning the authorities, and is it all? Do the authorities and the whole hierarchy of the structure of the map makers that I'm following, are they about taking advantage of people and having power, or do they really have people's best interests, and blah 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 blah? So
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, six is disowning, decouple from the head center, disowning your own head center. And so it's like you're trying to find an external map or orientation. And so, sixes tend to collect all these systems or, systems of belief or precedents or academia. Like, I want to find something that's been proven. What are some of the rules? And so it feels like the six is like, my head center is out there. It's in other people. It's in systems. And if I can build a map externally, then I have something I can trust. It's not, my head center is not necessarily in me. It's out there, and I have to go find it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Okay. Shall we start moving into...
Wingy dings?
Well,
Wingy
hold on.
dings?
The one thing I also want to... I thought this was funny, but I think, the crash out types. This is the crash out type of the head center.
Oh, God.
I mean, 4 and 8 are the crash outs of their centers, but there's a way that the sixes want you to know that they're always falling short, and that's why 6 is the most human type.
Right.
Like, wanting you to know that I'm trying and it's not going well, and that's why 6s seem the most relatable, because they're showing their work.
Yeah,
they're showing you that it's not going well. And that's what's so endearing about
and that
them.
the effort, right, and that the effort is still there, and help can be enlisted, but I'm trying, and there's like a good faith in it.
And it's like what's being shown is also showing that they're doing something for the team, the group, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, that brings in the compliance part, or like the superego element to being a 6. That there is a sense that their work and their thinking should be something.
Yeah.
There's a shouldness to the way that they're operating, rather than just like I don't know, like a more individuated. I don't mean individuated from like hexad versus attachment, but from just a more individualistic, like ego agenda.
There's a collective we inherent in the way 6s think.
That's right. With looking at the superego types, 6 compared to 1 and 2. I mean, 1 and 2 have, it's partly hexad, I don't know, solidity in their own position around their goodness, right? And that they're doing the right thing and so forth. Whereas 6 is questioning, and 6s are a lot more, kind of constantly on guard for being called a bad person morally or whatever.
And one last thing to say about 6 is that when you ask 6s in any Enneagram group to try to say if they agree with a description about 6, every 6 will say that there's something wrong with the description. And so the spirit of contradiction, the spirit of the inherent polarity and tension in their mental center, that whatever you see about 6, that you have to include the opposite. Like, so whatever a 6 fixer or a 6 is saying, that the opposite is just right around the corner. And contradiction is inherent to 6. So it's like you can't pin the 6 down. Like, you can't pin them on any sort of location. And that's, like, sometimes 6s would get you really attached to some like problem that they want you to get them in. They want to get you involved in, and you'll spend a whole lot of time like helping them figure something out. And they'll just do the exact opposite for whatever the conclusion was.
One of my other elementary basic-y things is with 6 is the word doubt to me is better than the word fear. I mean, doubt can lead to fear, and doubt has that silent B in it, like the word double, right? And so that's representing that splitness thing, that they kind of split everything. I mean, even when it's, there's this, but then there's this, but if they look at this, they're even going to split that. And then if they swing back to this, they're going to split that. It's a constant. So it becomes it's granular, right? It keeps breaking down, and so that's why the what is it? I don't know. Salvation transformation is to go to the
5 and 7.
liquid of 9, which is
The body
yeah,
center,
right.
yeah, which is yeah.
Oh, shut up with 5 and 7.
Hexad is your savior. Hexad is your
fucking
savior.
Try. It's me. I'm the solution to 6.
The solution is to come over to the Hexad side.
That's not. No, you guys are weird infections, weird mutations
Hey.
of what should be correct in the attachment centers.
I'm not going to sit here and say like the solution for Hexads isn't to go to the attachment side. That is the case.
Okay.
You know, I'll give you that.
Okay, I
But
agree. Well,
if
I
you're
still disagree with you.
if you're triple attachment, you need a Hexad in your life.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
you do.
Yeah. Okay, anyways.
All right, the wings.
Well, there was something else I was going to... Let me see if I can find it. There was something else I was going to say about 6. And it is... Oh, well, I guess it's just there. It seems like the ache of 6, and I said this in different language already, but is to find the bridge between, like, their subjectivity and actual reality. Like, a lot of what the attachment part of it is doing is, like, there is a shared reality somehow, somewhere, and I want to be able to find it so that there is, like, a harmonious... And maybe that's part of the line to 9, or maybe I'm just projecting.
Right.
But that there is a kind of, like... there is like unity and you know, harmony that can be found just from operating from the same map.
Yes,
So
yeah.
a lot of the literature and a lot of like the stereotype will be like a 6 needs you to agree with things or needs you to like think the same way. I don't think that's actually true. It's more that like we need to be looking at the same material and analyzing the same material, even if we're coming to different conclusions from it. And that's why there can be such a fussy kind of like nitpickiness with 6, asking 1,000 fucking questions about the same thing, because it's needing to look at it from all different angles to make sure, like, are we looking, to use the banana thing, like, are we looking at a banana? Do
Yeah.
you know what a banana is? What's a banana?
And,
Yeah.
Tell me what a banana is,
Yeah.
so I know that we're looking at this.
and
Yeah.
the words you're using there are very, again, self-pres objecty. You know,
Yeah.
are we looking at it? Are we looking at the same thing? It's right in
there's
front
a
of us. It's
materialness.
this object
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
good.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is why you're going to find a lot of 6s. We said this kind of a little bit on the 5 call, but you're going to find a lot of 6s in like academia.
Right.
A lot of 6s in like scientific fields and medical fields. Like it is looking at things from a billion different angles to make sure that the truth is the truth and can then be applied.
yeah.
Right. That's part of this. That's part of the compliant piece to this.
And
also,
that there's a
is, like,
lineage
there's an offering
of facts, of precedents,
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. The other thing, too, with
there.
6 is...
There's like really solid, reliable information.
The other thing too with 6 is the thing of, like a lot of 6s are in dangerous jobs. You know, the military, EMTs, police, and shit like that. And part of what that is the thing of that. Well, it's like that movie title, Clear and Present Danger. Like 6s have a lot of free floating anxiety, and why am I in? They think they're intuiting the next bad thing or that something's coming, but if there's an actual, like, there's a person with a gun right there, then it's like, then they can unify their will and
that's good.
and activate. Because here's the you know,
the danger.
EMT, here's the bleeding person right here. We have to do this, and they can just turn on all of their training and all that shit and just start going.
And
Yeah.
it seems that when the 6s are in a situation where there isn't a clear and present danger, they might self-sabotage to make that happen, to create
true.
an emergency, to create
That's right.
a huge problem that makes it easier to, you know, all right, I'm not confused anymore. The thing that I'm afraid of, I've just created for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
6s.
Yeah, a great, very funny 6 example is, what is his name? What's
Alex
his
Jones.
name?
Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's
Oh my God. Flaming 6 energy
Oh
in
man,
that one.
hardcore. Yeah, beyond. 6s are also
Yeah.
the Karens. That's one nice
Also
thing
Karens,
we can say
yeah.
about them.
You need to speak to the manager.
Yeah.
A lot of
That's
just
6 with a
commenters,
1.
like, or commentators, like political commentators,
Oh,
or
sure.
anything that
Totally.
uses like kind of analytical lens is going to be 6 because
Well,
it's tracking, it's predicting, it's
well,
tracking,
it's also
it's
opposites. Politics is
Yeah.
polar.
right. Oh, that's
Polarities.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Maybe sports commentators too, just
Sure,
looking
there's
at
some.
things from
Yeah.
different, like opposing strategies.
Yeah, it's just these head fixes get into different realms, like where 6 is like everyday life, emergencies, what's real, science, and then 7 is just pure entertainment. This is like fantasy realm
Yeah, pure
of
fantasy.
just making
Right,
shit
yeah.
up.
Yep.
I mean, but that's what we enjoy about movies and TV shows. It's not meant to be real. It's meant to be
Yeah.
entertaining, and then 5 is going to get off into some like weird new discovery to sort of
Yeah,
expand the map,
invention.
invent something that we've never thought of before.
Yeah.
But yeah, just completely different world.
Yeah.
Yep. That's definitely true.
And with 5, it's also can be somewhat like 7 in that sometimes where they go and what they conceive of and theorize on doesn't have a practical use.
Yeah.
Whereas you're not going to get that with 6, generally speaking.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
6 is about something, the truth that is everybody's truth, or, something practical that's going to help a lot of people or something.
Yeah, that's going to help. Right. Yeah. That's where the superego, I think,
Yeah.
comes into, is I think there's like an applied usefulness to it. It reminds me of Virgo in astrology, actually,
Yes.
where it's
Sure.
material analysis.
Right.
You know,
Well-
there's like a service orientation there.
There's also my reflections thing, which does the kind of the compliant, superego compliant types and the assertive types and the withdrawn types, and with using the sundial, the 6 at multiple
Oh, I know what you're
layers
talking about.
here. 6 at sunset is reflecting up at 1 and 2, and that's an interesting. There's a few metaphors there. Well, first of all, it's sort of 1 and 2 are what 6 is, which is 1 is, moral judgment, good, bad, right, wrong, kind of absolutism around morality, and 2 is help and people and love
Yeah,
and so forth.
service,
So,
giving.
it's kind of like 2s want to be loved, and 6 with 2 and 1 want to be liked, right? The 1 waters it down a little bit to like 6s want to be, because the 2 thing is like hyper intimate in a certain way. Anyway, and then the other thing too around that symbol is that 1 going to 2, well, that's where 1 splits into 2. Right, and so that's a piece of 6. The 2 3s, right? Here's the human or existence splitting into 2 things, and that's that whole 50-50 thing of 6.
All right, we got to get into the wings.
Yeah, wings.
All right. Okay,
Buffalo
cool.
wings.
Into the wings, into the buffalo wings. Well, I mean, I guess the first thing to say with the wings, is that obviously 7, okay, 6 can be 6 wing 7 or 6 wing 5. 6 wing
is that
7
right?
has the assertive. I'm just learning the Enneagram today, so you guys correct me.
Yeah.
6 wing 7 has an assertive wing, and then 6 wing 5 has a withdrawn wing, and this is different from the 7 wings or the 5 wings that only have reactive wings.
Right.
You guys following with that? Okay, because 5 only has 4 or 6,
Yeah.
and then
Very good
7 only
point.
has 8
Very
or
good point.
6.
Yeah.
And so 6 being like the anchor of the head center is the reactive, is the reactivity, is mental reactivity. And so it gets to flay out in some, different little spices. One being withdrawn competence and the other being, whatever we want to say about 7.
There's a huge difference there. Just
Major.
sometimes people that have been typed as 6 fixed have an allergic reaction to the general stereotype of 6, which is generally 6 wing 7. 6 wing 7s far outnumber 6 wing 5s. At least I think that's the case in the population and as a fix. So generally when people think of 6, they think of 6 wing 7, which is much more, you've got that 7 messiness of I'm
Yeah.
just gonna spray my head center everywhere and, make a fool, not make a fool, but like there's a way that I'm sort of like 6'7" is like, I'm spreading my mental ass cheeks for everyone to get into, to get into. And 6'5" is far less.
Ass is 50-50. See,
it's not open quite as much as 6'7". Five keeps their orifices to themselves. So
yeah.
That's nice.
One thing too is some people think that 6 with a 5 wing makes for, I don't know, a more timid 6 or whatever.
Oh no,
that's
opposite.
That's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's often, that's often the more, it concentrates. One thing it does is it concentrates the head center and all of that, flailing around thing, and they specialize more. Narrow their focus, and narrowing focus, that, you can say that makes the reactivity, that fuel, that is constant reactivity, that fire now can direct itself towards something, channeling towards something.
Yeah. There's going to be, so if we talk about the stereotypes of 6, the stereotype of 6 is like anxious and I don't know what I'm doing and where I'm going and somebody help me, whatever. The expressions of anxiety, the differences in expressions of anxiety between 6'7" and 6'5" is what you guys were saying, that 6'7" is more, it's more assertive, it's more flamboyant. There's a positive kind of like, it's making a joke of their anxiety. And so there is a certain kind of buoyant, kind of girl next door, boy next door, kind of like relatable. This is more enjoyable. Like my anxiety is going to be more enjoyable because I'm being fun about it.
I'm a next door buddy. The buddy stereotype is 6'7". Yeah.
There is that assertive push to where it's going to be it's more likely to be like, oh my God, I'm anxious and freak out and all that kind of stuff. But there is more of like, like a buoyant kind of likability to 6'7", and the way that they express their anxiety. There's like a charm there.
The 7 is kind of incorporating others. It's that in that way it's assertive. It's incorporating others into the anxiety. Right, it's like inviting with humor. It's almost theatricality. Like 7 is theater. It's the 6 is almost 6'7" is often cranking up the theater of their anxiety and their questioning.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Yeah, theater of anxiety is really funny and really good.
When I think
and really cute.
Yeah, cute, bubbly.
Right.
When I think of 6'5", it has a very grim, serious vibe. It's just like the 6 anxiety, but like concentrated. It's almost like we think about like the FBI or some of these organizations that are
CIA
thinking about the end of the world literally and preparing for them. There's a very grouchy sort of like everything
Tommy Lee
is
Jones is a good example. Tommy Lee Jones is classic 6'5".
Yeah, the expression of that anxiety is just more turned in. It's not externalized. It's not roping other people in. I mean, it can, but when it's roping other people in, even that roping in is more targeted, and it's more like this is specifically what we're worried about, and like this is specifically what we need to figure out. And there's like it just feels more like a drill than 6'7" does. But even so, like externally on a body level, the anxiety of 6'5" just is more turned in, and it just feels more like high strung and tense.
Really, it's like a really
there's
tense
a looseness
wire.
to 6'7", even with their tension and their electricity. There's still like there's like an expansiveness to 6'7" that 6'5" just doesn't have. It's like tight and serious and high strung and like Jesus. Very anxiety inducing.
Right. When you think about Eminem and Kendrick Lamar, some of like these like Eminem's social sexual. When he was younger, he had a little bit more flair to him, but the older he's gotten, he just has a very grim, grouchy quality to him. Tupac is another one where social sexual makes him bright, maybe because of Bermuda, but like he was reactive in a way that. Charismatic but very serious, very grim. Yeah, like another rapper's like Triple X Tentacion. I don't know if you guys remember him before he died or he was
I
murdered.
kind of know him, yeah.
But that's a very
Ooh,
intense,
God, Diddy too.
grouchy 6 energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we made it official, but and this is old school, but Malcolm X, I think, was 6 Wing 5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm X, yeah.
Yeah.
Condoleezza Rice is another 6 Wing 5 that we have on the database. Kristen Stewart, everybody knows, really awkward.
Kristen Stewart, she's a good example though, and I actually think Ben Affleck is a good example too. You guys typed him 6 Wing 5, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because those two, I think, like just visually, I've seen like on different forums or whatever, both of those people be typed as 9s. Especially because Ben Affleck was like in the public eye with J-Lo, and J-Lo's just such an obvious 6 that it was like easy to mistake his withdrawn, high-strung, like just tight analysis and thoroughness to be just on the body level. If you're not paying attention to the material he's using, it just felt like, okay, he's withdrawn, maybe he's just a 9. Where it's more like my anxiety, it's like 6 Wing 5 is more like my anxiety is none of your business. It's rejecting.
Yes.
It's like, it's mine. Don't come near it. Actually, if you do come near it, you're going to fuck it up. That's like the withdrawn preciousness of the 5 influence.
Edward.
And Kristen Stewart the same way.
Right.
People mistake her for a 9, and then you feel into her a little bit, and you're like, "Whoa, this is not an easygoing, positive outlook type."
Yeah, Edward Snowden is another 6 Wing 5. Whistleblower, the whole kind of spy.
Oh, and I bet Julian Assange is another 6 Wing 5. That's the
that's
the whatchamacallit,
WikiLeaks.
And then a couple of old school ones. Dick Cheney, of course, is a classic.
Dick Cheney has a huge dick.
Ooh, man. Okay.
He's got a chain.
Why?
Look it up, people.
Anyway.
And Richard Nixon.
He's a good example, though. He was just fucking mastermind behind, who was he behind? Bush?
Bush, yeah.
Yeah,
Dick,
just
a dick
playing him
behind
like
a bush.
Puppet.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
All right.
I'm sorry I walked into that myself.
Gillian Anderson is another 6 Wing 5.
Oh, yeah,
she's weird.
She's interesting. Yeah.
Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
Jodie Foster's a good one, yeah.
Spike Lee is a good one, too.
Yeah.
Social Sexual.
Oh, Social Sexual is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 Wing 5s don't get a lot of attention because they're not super common, and Clint
Ford.
Eastwood is another one. Yeah, just like
Harrison
sort
Ford
of,
is another one. He's got that mumbling, hey, good, what are you doing?
That's good. Yeah, Clint Eastwood's energy is another good one to point out because he's been confused all over the internet for being an 8.
Yeah, that's another thing to be
and
mentioned.
a 9 wing 8. Yeah.
Oh, and a 9 wing 8. Like even that, like it speaks to like a certain withdrawnness, but also like the presence of the reactivity and the like gate. I don't want to say gatekeeping. What's the word? Like bodyguarding.
Yeah, it's
know?
that
There's
vigilance
this certain
thing. And he's played so
vigilant.
many vigilantes and
good.
guys that were, cops or Secret Service men who didn't quite follow the rules. It had that 6th thing of I'm in a service, hierarchy, but I'm not going to follow what the man tells me to do or whatever.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
It has a 6 Wing 5 has a masculine edge to it. If you talk about certain types having more masculine, more feminine,
right.
And because it has the reactivity and the wall of 5, it makes sense for why someone might confuse 6 Wing 5 energy for 8.
Yeah.
Like Robert De Niro
sure.
was one confusing typing back in the day, just because people could see, because this guy being really a lot of tough guys or tough girls who Jason Statham plays a lot of action characters that, or Clint Eastwood. There's a lot of solid, formidable, tough guy energy with 6 Wing 5, or just 6 in general, but more so with 6 Wing 5.
There's a few of the old school Hollywood guys like Robert Redford, Paul Newman, Warren Beatty. I think is a sexual social 6 Wing 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about 6 Wing 7.
Oh, the last thing on 6 Wing 5, Joan Didion. Do you know her?
I know
Joan
that
Didion.
name.
She's an author. She was just known for being just like cutting, super precise, just on like her social observations. She's this incredible writer. He was also a 6'5", and she was just known for, like, looking up photos of her, she's just known for being like unsmiling, serious as fuck. Like there's a complete like unfunness to 6'5" that is kind of unmistakable. Like I'm 6'5" and I can be like buoyant and stuff like that, but there still is like a certain, even recently it was said to me that sometimes in observing me, people, okay, I can't remember what it was now, but someone said, yeah, sometimes you just go off and I'm wondering, what is she talking about and why is this like so important to her right now? Which is just like not, you know,
it's got a
there's a
little
certain
of a 5.
lightness and buoyancy that 6'7" has that just isn't coming across so like, whoa, Jesus, okay.
Yeah, there's a sharpness, mental.
We've mentioned before how well 6'5" can be overwhelming in a different way. Like 6'7" can be overwhelming with how much they can spaz out and
how much space they take up. Yeah. They just take up more space too.
Yeah, like 6'5" would be overwhelming in the specific thing that they might be drilling into. It's got that 5 quality of it's more consolidated anxiety about one thing, you know, that's yeah,
that's the other thing too, is as compared to say 5-wing 6, 6-wing 5 is kind of doing some 5-ness, but it's more embodied, right? Because with 6 it has to do something. You know, that 5-ness has to cut something or be directed at something in the world, you know, whereas 5-wing 6 can abstract away from reality and cares less about the pragmatism of the theory or whatever in the world.
Yeah. We've noticed that 6-wing 5 is more guarded as a, you know, even as a fix than 5-wing 6 because the separation of 5 and 6,
that's interesting.
they pop off more because there's they don't
that's really good.
feel as invested or as on guard as 6-wing 5s do, and so even as a fix, we noticed that in the typing videos, the 6-wing 5s or 6-wing 5 fixes don't really give you very much, and the 5-wing 6s can go off like
Wow. Yeah, no, that's good.
6-wing 5 is like
Moses
that triple lock thing. It's like, didn't we have something on one of our DAAs? It's like that. It's like multi-locked. You know, you're not going to be able to get in this vault, and that's again pings back on that thing of sort of that real world thing. It's like somebody actually could do harm. You know, it's a wake more to the outer world compared to 5.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's really good. There's also the thoroughness, like the work that 6 is always doing and proving and whatever. 6-wing 5 is just more private about it. There is the 5-ness piece, and so the way 5 is helping 6 is the 6-wing 5 is believing that it will get to the truth and like something objective and well-rounded and like dependable, whatever, on their own more than 6-wing 7 does. And it's not that 6-wing 7 like depends on other people more, but it is an assertive type and it can push against information more than 6-wing 5 can. 6-wing 5 is going to go, you know, like we look at Kendrick Lamar in this absolute fucking smackdown that happened last year. He was just withdrawn the whole time and then comes out and like murders Drake.
I think
David's not Team Drake. He didn't mean that.
Academia, like that sort of intensity about drilling down into one idea, which also still expecting that my work has to be peer reviewed. So academia has that, and even like the FBI all has that real intensity around consolidated framework, but you still have to have that 5 piece of bringing something very specific and drilled in, but you have to get the your peers to sign off on it in the end.
It's in a structure. It's and there's hierarchies and there's it's got the peer review, so there's the team thing and there's the that brings in, you know, some counterbalance to not trusting your own thoughts, you know, so do my peers validate this?
It's just looking and it's the reason that it's looking for that peer review is because it's there is some evidence in that we're all looking at the same thing, which means this is
Yes.
something that can be trusted as real.
Right. Right.
You know, and that's just like the value of 6 in academia, in just like
Yeah.
information in general. This is the energy that's looking for the cracks in the information
right.
to make sure that it can be like a solid, dense, dependable like object of orientation.
Yeah, and it just makes me think about like the 6-wing-5 orientation being more, the 5 brings in like the power of like the power structure of that orientation or framework. Like these academia, FBI, it's like information has potency to it.
Oh, yeah.
That when it's consolidated and
Right.
structured, and you have these systems and precedents that have power behind them, that we can consolidate, you know, really powerful information that we've all decided that's true. And this is like, you know, you get like information that can destroy nations,
Right.
or
Yeah.
you know, and so there's a power element to 6-wing-5 that 6-wing-7 doesn't have
That's
quite
good.
as
Yeah,
much.
That's right.
The leverage,
That's right.
the leverage piece is
Yeah.
good in there. Yeah. Yeah. So withdrawn, rejecting, leveraging. Yeah, that's good. That was fun.
All right, 6-wing-7.
Really fun type.
Well, that's the other thing. The grandma thing is something that we've all. The seriousness of it is just like it's like anti-fun.
Yeah, it's anti-fun. Yeah, it's grandma. We called it the Scrooge type for a
Scrooge,
while, and I
yeah.
think that remains
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
the Scrooge fix.
Have you guys had friends who were or been around 6-wing-5s much?
We have. Remember our first
Yeah.
zone experience? There was a certain 6-wing-5 who had knee issues, who wouldn't stop talking about the knee issues.
Where I'm going is, I've probably said it to you guys before in some other context, but male 6-wing-5s. I had some experiences with adult males, 6-wing-5s when I was a kid, and I was already anti-father. And here comes
That sounds
Scrooge.
extremely annoying.
Here comes like deadly serious ragey Scrooge kind of energy, and it's so serious about structure and how things should be done, and it's reactive. I mean, man, that's one of the types I'm most.
I bet your 7-fix loved that.
Oh man, it was just.
Oh, okay.
Well, and
see
I
what
was,
you're saying.
and it was also how, like you were talking about, Emeka, with that masculine, because it is, it has, it's like complete, it's dry.
Yeah.
It has no, it's not giving you any breast or milk or at all. I mean, it's just like fucking,
I see.
yeah. It's tense about shit
It's
that I
tense.
don't care about.
Yeah.
You know, like tidying up the car or the piece of trash here or there, or just stupid their little dumb rule or whatever.
It just feels
Yeah.
extra military to me. There's like a
It's very military.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so in a sense that
Yeah, it's controlling. It's applied control.
Yeah.
it's more on the nose about
There you
wanting
go.
to keep up with everything. So it does feel, in a sense, you could have more of a masculine stereotype with it, because it's like we got to make sure security is, you know, like that sort of like doomsday prepping kind of deal. Like I'm prepared for the worst case scenario. It feels more self-pres. I mean, of course, 8 has that a different kind of self-pres deal where there's a wall, but the 6-wing-5 thing is like super intense.
Oh yeah. It's really
Yeah,
intense.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Really fun.
All right.
All
let's look at 6-wing-7 now.
6-wing-7.
It covers so much
comedian
ground.
ever in the
yeah.
world.
Yeah, every comedian in the
This
world.
is-
Yeah, and so many
Every
different
single
kinds of
s-
comedians too. You know, it's like wildly different comedians.
Yeah.
When people want a character that people can project on, they'll get a 6, like a 6 actor. There's always a 6 actor that you know, that just becomes the everyman or host, like some chatty, relatable
Yeah, you're right.
buddy that we immediately project relatableness upon. Let me think.
right.
Let me see. What are some examples of?
Well,
some-
all the late night guys.
Well, one was that guy you guys did recently. What's his name from White Lotus?
Oh,
That
yeah.
episode you guys did on
Oh, yeah.
him was so repulsive to me. I
that
can't
really
even
intense guy?
begin to
Yeah.
believe it.
Yeah.
He's
The
too fixed.
Walton Goggins.
Yeah.
Oh, Walton Goggins.
No,
Oh, that one.
Walton
Oh,
Goggins.
yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, everybody can do this.
Yeah. 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 That's
just
a
like
big split
waxing
right there
poetic
between-
about like how fucking ordinary he is.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you? So gross to me.
That's a wide veer away from 6-wing-5 and the specialization of 6-wing-5.
Right.
Right,
6-wing-7
right,
is,
yeah.
everybody can do this.
Yeah, there is, I mean, even to use that as an example, since we're already talking about it, there's the application of the 7-wing, which is the unconditional positive self-regard. There is like the workhorse thing of
yeah.
a 6, right? That there it's like a step away from perfection, and so it's really always working towards perfection. And so adding the 7-wing with this I can do it. I can do it. You know, 6-wing-5, I think more often just knows what its lane is and what is not its lane. And so for example, I would never try to become an actress. And if I became an actress, I'd be like, I must have some skills that got me here.
Yeah,
But
right.
saying like, oh, anybody can do this is bananas to me. Some people just shouldn't have confidence. And 6-wing-7 just liberally giving it out to people is
Giving
just,
it away.
that's nuts.
Yeah, this is more the more annoying 6 to me, in the sense that positivity, it's like this assumption that your anxiety is fine to be blasted out, like just to share it, or even like there's like an unbelievable amount of hope that
There's hopefulness.
that other your head center would be welcomed by other people.
Yeah.
Like it's always weird to me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There is that, yeah. Interrelationally, that is really fucking annoying. But there's like a hope that the solution to the anxiety can be found. You know, 6 is often not helping itself because it's doing this like overly thorough thing with a lack of trust and a needing the outside, you know, reinforcement, blah, blah, blah. But I do find that 6-wing-7 before 6-wing-5 is going to like, 6-wing-7 will just stay the course longer because it does have that like, the hope train is just like keeping it kind of chugging it along in a way that 6-wing-5 is going to be much faster to be like, the world is ending tomorrow, so we should just figure something else out. You know, it's going to get really ugly really soon.
Another major 6-wing-7 phenomenon is Oprah.
Oh my God.
And if you think about, you know,
A lot of interviewers.
a lot of interviewers, but like
lot of
she
journalists.
made a lot of authorities famous, like Dr. Phil, the
that's
Dr. Oz, you know, several people. She, you know, promoted Maya Angelou, and she was already a thing in herself and in and of herself. But and then also the books thing. That's another kind of like a authority thing. You know, is what did the book say? You know, there's that thing around.
That's true.
Of, and Oprah did a lot of saying stuff that is, you know, like everybody goes to the bathroom. We all go to the bathroom. Come on, you know, that kind of thing. It's
like
that
thing.
that super level playing field thing, and with the, you know, having some, you know, potty humor or whatever. It's got the 7 thing, so it's level playing field that's fun and cute and lovable or whatever.
Yeah, the 7 thing adds like a entertainment fantasy deal.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of 6-wing-7s
A likability.
so common in entertainment, because
Totally.
you know, like making shit up, and it's also kind of a problem in relating to 6-wing-7s, because they're faster to project and to jump to conclusions, making shit up about like, this is what I think is happening, just so I can get you to react, because that sort of messiness, their attachment to disconnect style is to throw a dart on the board to see if something
Sloshing
sticks.
around.
And so there's a big fantasy element there of, I'm going to accuse you of this, or I'm going to make this thing up just to see how you react. But, you know, I didn't really mean it, or I was just, you know, I was wrong, or the contradictions and the projections are just happening faster. And it's a lot messier. But that's part of what makes them seem relatable. Like George W. Bush, you know, he seems like a fuck up, but people relate to that sort of. It seems more human for someone to be.
6-wing-7?
He's 6-wing-7.
That's so funny.
Social sexual. That's
Bumbling.
Well, that's
Texas boy.
another thing to mention is, I guess it's probably the 6-wing-7s that more often, you know, exhibit that phenomenon of imitating nines as a
yes.
Yeah,
overall
I
personality.
think so.
Yeah.
George Bush is kind of that. Who are some other examples?
Princess Diana had a
Yeah.
little bit of that. We confused
Yeah.
her for a 9 for a
Oh,
while.
Right.
Celine Dion, we confused for a 9. There are a couple
that's right,
6s
yeah.
that are really
Right.
tough to see.
Marilyn Monroe, you thought was
Oh my
9.
God!
Yeah,
Please, let's not do this.
That's David's gonna
Let's not
die on
open
that
this
hill.
door. 6'7", Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, right.
Please, that
Come
bitch
on.
can barely open her eyes. Right. Alert and vigilant. Cool.
Yeah.
That's, makes a lot of
Her
sense.
whole life is about being a fucking victim, you stupid.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
9s don't do that.
Okay, because nines,
Yeah, nines
are
don't
never
do that.
victims ever.
Right.
9s don't do
Do
that at all.
nines make that their whole thing?
Yeah, but you know,
Was that her whole thing?
Her
Her whole
whole
thing was
thing.
being like a fucking fuck pillow, sleepy, busty woman.
it'd be one
And
thing
then
if you
anytime
said,
she was allowed to have a voice, she was kind of like, "Oh, hey, this actually kind of sucks."
and just
Anyway.
no
Like
ability.
a 6,
6 wing
saying
7,
how shitty they are.
no
Oh my
6.
God! Or a 9 with a 6 fix.
6s
Gray.
that don't have the ability to speak, even the ones that are doing the 9 imitation, still are chatterboxes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh my God!
Fuck
All
you,
right. This
all
is
of
now a 9. This is now a Marilyn Monroe debate episode.
Now
You
they
can
know-
release a whole episode by yourself where you can tell people why she's a 6.
Yeah, that would be that'd
See
be
who
pretty
gives a
good.
fuck.
Good idea.
Yeah, and then everyone will just lay flowers at the grave of this idea.
Let's see. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of. I mean, it's there's so many 6 wing 7s that it's almost
Yeah.
like you know.
Anna Kendrick is a good example that people know her. Maybe you guys don't know her, but
Yeah.
Oh
everyone
yeah,
else will.
no, yeah, for sure. Tina Fey was another. I mean, there's a
Oh,
million.
yeah.
I mean,
There was something I was going to say around the comedy world with 6. The reason 6 wing 7 in particular, this cat is driving me fucking bananas.
Yeah, that is the comedian type to a T.
Yeah,
Dave
to a
Chappelle.
T.
another one.
And the reason it's so good at comedy is because one, it's working within the attachment realm, and so it's relating to everybody's orientations and thoughts and experiences and blah blah blah, and then adding that creative flair.
Yes.
Right. It's taking how often have we seen Kevin Hart just or anybody
Dave
just
Chappelle.
talk about
Yeah.
a regular story and then give this
It's pointing out
stylize it in this kind of
contradictions, and that's 6.
flamboyant, ridiculous way.
And contradictions also, which is there it is again, opposites. And that's kind of what comedy
it's the-
is a punchline is a thing that you didn't expect that's kind of an opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yes, yes. And even just the reactivity of the normalcy of what we're all taking
Yeah.
in on a day-to-day basis. That's Dave Chappelle is so
Yeah.
good at that. Bill Burr, I assume, is he
yeah.
Yeah,
also
he's a
6
6
wing 7?
wing 7. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's so good at just
Oh, yeah.
just the reactive, flamboyant drama
One
of 6 wing
and a
7 on a
4 fix
stage.
also, like George
Bill
Carr.
Burr is a 4 fix?
Yeah,
Yeah.
1 and 4.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's where we came to.
Whoa, 1 and 4.
Yeah.
That's
So he's got and
crazy.
then a 7. So he's got all 3.
Cat Williams.
Yes.
Wow,
Williams, yeah.
that's
And George
so
Carlin's
annoying.
another one of
I really
those.
like him though.
Larry David's another one of
Interesting.
those.
Yeah, they're able to take something relatable and like you said, stylize it and make it interesting, and that's part of why Sixers are so endearing and powerful as entertainers, because people want something relatable, but that 7 wing adds enough entertainment that this is someone that I enjoy spending time with or enjoy hearing their thoughts, because hosting a TV show is a pretty fucking normie thing to do, but they're counting on this person being able to just answer and ask questions that are normal, but just inject a few jokes that keep things sort of
There's
up.
also
But-
that keeps things up. That's what I was going to say. The entertainment and just the pleasure seeking of 7, and just the self-satisfaction of 7, people really respond to, because it's pleasure is
Sure.
a cathartic kind of experience, and so that attached to 6, which is taking everybody's fears and taking everybody's anxieties and
Right.
this mutual kind of universal experience of just being alive,
Mm-hmm.
is basically taking that experience and then just making it okay.
Yeah, right.
It's okay, we all have this, and
Here's-
it's fine.
here's the other thing.
Another thing that
Go ahead.
okay, go ahead.
Well, the other thing that six comedians are doing is for us all, they're making fun of or pointing out things about the people in power. That's the other thing,
That's
and that's
good.
what they're doing
Yeah.
for the collective, and that's part of
Yeah.
their popularity, is pointing out the absurdity of, what a politician did, or whatever.
And that's frustration. That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
the
frustration. That's so,
frustration
yeah,
with
right.
sort of the attachment or a framework
Yeah.
of these are the things that we deal with, but doesn't that, have you thought about this,
Yeah.
or doesn't
Yeah.
that suck? And I think that's part of why
Yeah.
sevens are so popular, is that they do frustration in a fun way that people
In a
can
buoyant way.
get
Yeah.
into. But like 6.7 is like the happy medium of relatable with frustration that's that people can tap into.
Without being, without going full hedonistic.
Right.
Right.
Like it's still useful.
Seven.
It's still kind of like real and on the ground. Whereas 7 can get into some, ridiculous, frustration trail that is really just about what the 7 is railing about, and they don't really care if it's stuff that we can all get in on. But 6 is always going to be playing from that relatable place.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. I think this is also what makes 6.7 good at like being like teachers also. I think there is like a light, kind of fun, buoyant way. Obviously, like academia, like the drier iteration of teaching, I think is more
Rigorous.
for 6.5.
Yeah.
But yeah, the more like, rigorous stuff, I guess. But teaching, like I think of like TED Talks and stuff like that. Like there is a 6.7 kind of performance to this that's going to be aided with the 7 wing, with the 6 kind of
Realness.
universal channel of
Right.
of communicating.
And commonality.
Something else I was going to
also.
say around, that's good. Something I was going to say around 6.7, just because I've observed it so much and I think it's so funny, is 6.7 is also the type. Okay, here's like a good manifestation of what I was saying earlier about them just making anxiety and like the pain of being a person that exists like okay and fun and kind of like relatable and whatever. Is I know so many 6.7 or 6.7 fixes that will just joke about the idea of just like ending it all. Like it'll be like, oh, my coffee spilled. Guess I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, right.
There is like a
Right.
buoyancy to like I'm acknowledging the frustration and the irritation
Yeah.
and the ache of the system of my day, of this like minor irritant, and I'm making it into like a universal thing that we can all just be with each other in.
And it's also got that thing of well, the 6, that sort of doom, calling out for slaughter aspect of 6. That self-sacrifice of,
Oh, yeah.
that there's something about 6's 6 wing 7 really that's and not all of them, but it's got that quality of well, victimhood, right? And so that the thing you're talking about there with that suicide joke or whatever is kind of incorporating that into the outer personality. They might actually have some whatever suicidal ideation or something, but it's making it well. It's the reason I think everyone should talk about suicide more, because everyone has suicide.
Right, careful.
Well, they're more open about their victimhood status. I don't think 6.5
Not anywhere
is not externalizing in that sort of way. I mean, it's still there, but it's not something that they're leading with. But 6.7, similar to 7, has like making a theater out of the things that are wrong.
Making theater, yeah.
And so making a theater out of my own victimhood is a 6.7 thing. And that's the thing that people, the stereotype of 6 that people might find annoying is that's just 6.7, wearing victimhood on their sleeve.
Right.
I do think it's more stereotypically 6.7, but the 6.5 version of that just doesn't feel as, first of all, it doesn't feel as expansive. I think it feels much more like alarmist
Contracted,
and serious,
yeah.
and often like a conspiracy theory.
Right.
Like, Malcolm X was like, he was really doing his thing, but there are moments in his time that feel just so condensed and so articulated that he had a reputation for people saying like he's kind of losing it, like he's kind of nuts, like it would be so precise
Right.
what he was talking about.
Right. Right.
Whereas 6-wing-7 can keep these like broader strokes
That was sort of the
everyone
Nixon
can...
thing too, was that kind of, that certain kind of kookiness of
yeah.
sort of an over concentration on some paranoid thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's like the consolidated victimhood to a point of I'm borrowed into this very specific framework on how to deal with that.
Yes.
And so like the WikiLeaks or Julian Assad, it's like these are all coming from, we're going to go up against these power structures and we're going to do it in this specific way. It's not necessarily wearing victimhood on your sleeve, but it's still coming from a position of, the
Something
power's out
is
there and we have to go do
Yes,
something about it.
Yeah. Something is wrong. There are cracks in the foundation that need to be like addressed. And I do think that is like, again, like the high usefulness of 6.
That's
It can
right.
be like annoying, especially when they're making it up, but like the thorough
Right.
making sure the foundation is like really solid. That's like 6 troubleshooting is
And it, kind of almost
the value.
symbolically, whatever, correlates to that thing I was talking about where they're splitting everything at 50-50. Like even when there's two 50-50s and they look at one, they're going to split that one, and that's cracks, right? So they're sort of they're crack specialists, that's like
Crackheads.
that. Where's the flaw in the thing? Where's the split? That's that's
crack specialist.
yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
There's a couple ways to go
Lovely.
with that phrase.
Yeah.
Alex Jones,
Yeah.
that's the extreme end of what that can look like. Just the conspiracy theorist barking as loud as possible about the end of the world. It's exhausting, like listening to 6s go off sometimes, because it's just like, when do you rest? When do you chill
No
out?
shit.
This is your
I've
everyday.
spoken like 3 body types.
Yeah.
3 body types being like, shut the fuck up with all those thoughts.
You know what it is?
Every now and then.
It's
Just,
like,
shh.
what is the bad thing that's what I always, it's 6 fix in
Right,
general.
right.
It's
Yeah.
always like
Yeah.
this bad thing that is going to happen. All right, so we have a threat. Like, let's just make a decision and do something about it. Us thinking about it, continuing to think about it, and to think about the thoughts that we were having, stop it. Stop that.
Well, there's like a predictive element that 6
Right.
is trying to get in front of. But
Yeah, like it's
annoying.
like that's the process. To me, it's like, okay, we're bringing up it. So 6 fixers that I've over the years, just like, okay, we have a problem, and I'm anxious about this problem. I'm like, all right, come on, let's workshop, let's figure out a solution, and then we spend hours coming up with all these different scenarios and possibilities, and then everything we talked about gets tossed and completely disregarded. And I've had this happen over the years, and I've learned that I'm not getting sucked into your head fix whirlpool. That's not, and then have you not even take the advice. Just
Well, I mean, it's just like that's what personality does. It's insistent on keeping on doing its thing.
yeah, that's great. Do your thing with AI, ChatGPT.
over there.
Not me.
Okay, so something else, this came to mind as we were talking about, as the subject changed. But I want to go back to, I guess just like another difference between 6-wing-5 and 6-wing-7 is that there is, with 6-wing-5, as far as like the bad thing, we'll just say the bad thing that's happening. The way, so 6-wing-7 locks itself on the bad thing that's happening. If they're not in a full-blown panic, I think... if they're not like, if they're accepting around it, I do think 6-wing-7 can like take it on the chin with more
Yes.
with more
Buoyancy.
like levity
Yeah, right.
and more
Right.
buoyancy, and so they're gonna like whine about it the whole time, but they're also gonna like make a joke about it or whatever, and so you're gonna feel that they're uncomfortable, but they're also like handling it with some humor.
Right.
Whereas 6-wing-5's reaction is more, there's no humor, there's no
Right.
levity,
It's
there's
more
no buoyancy.
prideful or something.
It's more prideful, it's more
Well-
withdrawn, it's more rejecting, but it's also just more like neutral about the fact that like the bad thing is here and it's only going to be bad, and that's just the truth.
It's also one way to
and so
say
it's
it.
about handling it from here to the end.
One way to say it is that 6-wing-5 has a narrower aesthetic of personality. There's a narrower range of what is acceptable to be expressing as a person.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the anxiety becomes, I guess it's, you could say, yeah, it is. 6.5 is more intellectually arrogant or
There you go.
or snobby.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
For sure.
it's
For sure.
My
This is-
orientation is not accessible or open to, like 6.7 is like, yeah, they're going to be, let's get all the thoughts. Let's get
Right.
all the systems.
Yeah.
6.5 is, I
It's also
got to
just
decide
a little
what's
more
real.
dismissive.
Yes.
There's a way that
Yeah,
this
right.
is correlates to 3-wing 2 versus 3-wing 4, right? 3-wing 4 has a narrow, hyper-specific aesthetic of personality, of what, and that's why 3-wing 2, it's just more rangy.
It's wider.
And it's
Yeah,
more,
it's more
it's more
expansive, yeah.
human in the sense, or outreachy or something, because it's, there's more things to hook onto for other people or something. Yeah.
Any other thoughts on 6.7?
How about anything like I don't know, something 6-wing 7 with some of the fixes? People like Mike Tyson with an 8 fix, or
Oh, right.
something to
Yeah,
say
I mean,
about some of that.
it's a good thing to say how much, 9, going from 9 to 8 or 1 totally changes the vibe of a 6. And a lot of 6s that people might confuse for another type, like the tough guys are generally the 6-8-3s. That's the, the Kyle.
Yeah.
And so you got like Mike Tyson, just a lot of tough guys are 6-8-3s, and people
David
might confuse.
Goggins.
David Goggins is another one, just like aggressive for no reason.
Shia LaBeouf. Is he 6?
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf is a good example of that. Yeah, 6-wing 7 with an 8 fix.
Henry
God,
Rollins,
those are the worst.
just
There you go.
just like these are just
God,
like
kill me.
punch a hole through the wall individuals.
Yeah. Yes. Oh God, 6-wing 7s with 8 fixes should be
And then when you go in,
they should all be muzzled.
and then you go in a direction of one fix, that's a different kind of intensity. Like
Yeah,
James
it
Baldwin, Jerry Seinfeld, George Carlin, Cat Williams.
Right.
Yeah, like there's a.
Oprah, as we said, yeah.
Let me see. What are some female examples? Amber Heard.
Oh yeah. There you
Oh,
go.
good. That's a good one. Yeah.
Let's see. Jennifer Lopez
imagine-
is one
Yeah.
fixed as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jennifer
that's a good
Aniston
one,
is
yeah.
also one fixed, and Reese Witherspoon,
Oh, that's interesting.
she's one fixed.
Is that where we landed with her? That feels right. Yeah.
And then just regular schmegular 6-wing 7s with 9 fixes are
That's your
all of your SNL characters.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
the buddy.
Jennifer, what's the
Yeah.
other Jennifer? Voltaire, Katniss.
There's so many of
Oh,
them.
Lawrence.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence,
Jennifer Lawrence. We have Pete Davidson.
Yep.
We have Timothy Chalamet.
Princess
we have,
Diana,
Yeah.
Brene
basically
Brown.
Everyone on SNL. Jimmy Fallon, probably.
Everybody
Yes,
loves
for sure.
Brene
Yeah.
Brown.
Yeah.
Celine Dion. Yeah,
That's
it's
everyone loves Brene
that's
Brown.
the one. That's the type that everybody likes. Is the 6-wing 7 with the 9 fix.
You
and
could
the
say
3
like
fix.
They're
eight,
cute.
eight
They're
or
cute as hell.
8 or 1 has the 6. What is it? Blowtorch one side of an argument. You know what I mean? They're more. Whereas like 6 with a 9 fix, it's they
Confusion
stay
swirl.
in the in the back and forth, or the indecisiveness, or the uncertainty. Whereas 6 with 1 or 8 is they're picking
They're gonna pick a
side.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's very fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a
God,
big
I'm just
difference. But
remembering.
yeah, we've typed a lot of
huge.
6s.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And so at this point, sometimes it becomes like the everyman person, fill in the blank person is a 6. You've seen it. It's
Oh my
same
God,
thing with
don't say
9s.
that.
Well,
6s and 9s is like that's
Relatable.
everyone
I mean, the thing with
is a 6 or a
sixes-
9.
6s, I'm going to put down 9s. The thing with 6s is they're at least each one of them is a personality. They're not. You know what I mean? There's a
true.
lot of
Yeah,
personality.
there are-
Right.
Always,
Yeah,
you know?
there is. Yeah, there's a lot of dynamism in there. Yeah, there's a lot of energy and electricity.
Yeah,
Whereas
with the
9s are dull.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just pillows.
and in interviews, like the 9s won't really give you much, in like real personality or like something to complain about. Whereas the 6s, you have all these comedians that are so different because
So much energy.
Because-
So many talk show hosts. Tyra Banks.
Yeah, because each-
That's another hilarious one.
each 6 actually has like their own thing.
Yeah.
In a sense, not to say that 9s don't, but like in terms of expressing these are things that the complaints I have. Like you can think of so many different 6-wing-7s that have, very different styles. Whereas,
For sure,
9s sometimes can just default to
One of my favorites
platitudes.
is
Yeah, niceties.
is Craig Ferguson, social sexual 6-wing-7. Probably, I'm thinking he might be 3-wing-2 second. I'm sure he's a Bermuda, and maybe 9-wing-8. But have you guys? I think I posted it years ago. Seen like his flirtation videos? Those are great.
I don't think I know who you're talking
Craig
about.
Ferguson.
Craig Ferguson. He's not on TV anymore, but he used to be.
He's
he
worth
used to be
watching
on TV.
to learn how to pick up chicks.
Okay. All right. Well,
I don't like
I
his
could use
style.
that.
He's a little bit too friendly for me.
Well, I
makes
like
sense.
when he crosses lines sometimes, and
Yeah, I mean, the bubbly buddy style is not my thing.
yeah.
bubbly buddy
I'm
style.
not a bubbly buddy style.
Something else is a 6-wing-7 when they're angry at you versus a 6-wing-5 when they're mad at you. Like the direct
that's true.
aggression
Right.
towards you is so different.
Well,
So different.
What's the difference? What would you say is the
6-wing-5
difference?
is just. Well, 6-wing-5 is just, it's so narrow and focused and like stressful as hell, right? Because it's still the
it's
attachment
taut.
piece. And
It's
so it's like locked
tight,
in. It's locked in, but then it has the 5 like focus and drill and then competency, right? They're the like, there's a certain, even though it's reactive, there's still like an emotional neutrality. And it's just about like, well, is it this or is it
Right.
that? There's a certain overwhelming focus that comes with 6-wing-5. And 6-wing-7 is overwhelming in a different
Dramatic.
way in the fact that there's just so much.
Yeah.
It's so dramatic,
Yeah.
There's so much drama, but there's also so much just like frenetic movement everywhere that I'm just like I'm overwhelmed on a sensory level because it's
Yes.
like I can't focus on something. Are you? What are we talking about? We've flipped through 100 different subjects at once, whereas like 6-wing-5 is like we're staying on this subject until
yes.
every last like morsel has been,
Yeah, no, I
turned over.
I suppose that's the annoying thing about 6-wing-7 is my 5 fix to trying to figure out what the through line is. It's like we're jumping from a lot of times very contradictory stuff, and to me, it's like you just contradicted yourself,
Right.
which completely ruins your argument. And so the 5 influence is like if you can stick to a train of thought, we can go to war. We can at least have the conversation and drill down into one thing. But 6-wing-7 doesn't, like, it can't be pinned down. That's the 7th thing. Also, like the
that's-
trickster's
Oh, that's the 7th
thing
thing. Yeah,
of
that's good.
I'm
That's good.
I'm not gonna actually stay in one spot, and if you're trying to pin me down to like a track, then I'm gonna escape with a contradiction.
Yeah, the thing with the contradictions, because I do think 6-wing-5 actually does it as well. It's just not doing it as like flamboyantly.
Right.
It's
Well-
just it's more focused.
Well,
It's more like
also
a chess.
they're given less content to be contradictory. It's less verbal.
True.
Right.
Yeah,
So
it's true. But there's still going to be a thing of contradictions that I think is just inherent to
6.
6.
Oh, for sure.
Just because like it's more thorough cross-checking. It's more like, okay, I have to say this and then his answer is this. Now I'm going to say the total opposite.
Yes.
And if it's not also the total opposite, then there's
there we go.
bullshit somewhere and we need to go and figure that out again.
With 6-wing-7 also, that you don't, I guess it happens with 6-wing-5 a little bit, but there's more the sense often that they're with 6-wing-7 friends or romantic partners, whatever, that there are 2 people. There's the one that's kind of doing sort of a 9ish, everything's casual and we're buddies and joking and convivial or whatever, and then there's the vigilant, reactive, angry person who's volatile and so forth, and you often don't know which person you're going to get on any given day. So there's that's another one of the splits. I had it came up on one of those early the love line, the one where the what was the desert island question for me? There were I had 2 exes that were just horrible people. There was and that's coming from me. SPSX 6-wing-7 with 8 and 4 fixes. Imagine that. 6-8-4.
Wow.
And then one SPSX 6-1-3. And I mean,
Oh my
those
God.
two,
Just exterminate those
you talk about bringing out some 9 rage. I had to I had to just
Population
start
control.
leaving their place because I wanted to just physically harm these people.
Eliminate from the gene pool. I understand.
Oh yeah.
I understand.
No, the 613, when we first started dating, and that was one of my super hot relationships where we hated each other. We realized we had first we were in love just for a few months, but then we just realized we hated each other, and then we stayed together for 3 years or something. maybe even
Okay,
4,
as one does.
because what's the
Got to burn through the
polite way to say-
hatred fuel, man. It's just got to.
Yeah, it was like, is this racist to say? It was like Latin lovers
Oh,
kind
God.
of thing, or
Oh,
it was like
Alexandra
that
knows about
thing.
that.
Yeah,
Shut up.
it was that kind of thing, where anyway,
Just love
but
to
she-
hate them, right? Yeah,
she
just got to
would-
burn through it.
She had a one fix, and she had just bought a house, and she was all nervous about it, and she would imagine hearing termites in the walls and come over,
Oh my
and I would
God.
come over, and she'd be frantic. Here's the drama of the seven, the seven wing. She
Yeah,
was-
I would get
she's-
tired of that kind of stuff and be
Oh,
like, the third time that you brought up the same issue
Yes.
is the last time you will ever speak to me about this.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right, any loose ends?
All right.
Is there anything that we're forgetting? Anything that we want to throw into the mix
Sixes.
for the 666 wings?
Sixes.
Yeah.
6 wing
Mark of the
sevens and
beast.
6 wing fives. God bless y'all. I hope you go to 9 for all of our sakes.
Just one short of perfection.
funny, though.
One short of perfection.
You're funny.
You're funny.
I love when you take down Drake in a vicious, very hilarious way, and
you,
you're funny.
You keep us
and I
safe
like
at
you
night.
guys.
You lock everything.
They're also evil.
They're
666.
also evil.
They can definitely be also evil. Yeah, love you guys. Don't want to date you at all, but I love you guys.
Watch you end up with the
Yeah.
6.
And good night.
Maybe you are the something for
I will
6s.
not.
That's
Maybe
No,
you
I'm
are
not.
the something for 6s.
No, I'm 100%
Oh,
not
well.
something for 6s.
You
No.
never know.